My name's Ryan, I'm 28, and for the last few years, I've tried my best to keep a low profile when it comes to family events. Not because I hate my family or anything, but because, well, let's just say I was unofficially labeled the disappointment a long time ago. I don't have a flashy job, I'm not married with kids, and I didn't go into law or medicine like my cousins. I work in IT, freelance mostly, and I enjoy the quiet life. But to my Aunt Linda, the undisputed queen of family image, quiet equals failure. So when she leaned into my window that afternoon and whispered, "Try not to embarrass us tonight," I just smiled and nodded. Then I turned off the engine, got out, walked around to the back seat, and calmly took the cake I had custom ordered, the pile of neatly wrapped birthday gifts I'd bought with my own money, and, perhaps most importantly, the key to the rented party venue I had booked weeks ago. Then I got back in the car, shut the door, and drove away. The party was for my cousin Emily's 18th birthday, Aunt Linda's youngest and the golden child of the family. Straight A's, athletic, pretty, always perfectly dressed. Emily was actually sweet, which made this whole thing more complicated. She'd asked me, not her mom, to help organize her birthday. Said she wanted something chill, not over the top. Something that felt like her, not another gala where Aunt Linda paraded her around like a debutante. So I'd taken the reins quietly, booked a venue by the lake, got her favorite cake from a local bakery, ordered gifts I knew she'd love, and even printed out little Polaroids from her childhood to hang around the room. It was supposed to be a simple, beautiful night. But the thing about Aunt Linda is, nothing is ever about anyone but her. And when I told her last week that Emily wanted things low-key, she fake laughed and said, "Oh, Ryan, you don't have to cover for her shyness. She'll love what I have planned." I should have pushed back more. But at this point, I was used to being steamrolled. I didn't even know what I have planned meant until the morning of the party, when I got a call from a very confused caterer asking about setup. Turns out, Aunt Linda had taken it upon herself to also book a party planner, a photographer, and a DJ, all set to arrive at a completely different venue, some fancy banquet hall halfway across town. She had no idea I'd already paid the deposit on the lakeside venue, or maybe she did and just didn't care. When I texted her asking what was going on, she replied with a thumbs up emoji and "Don't worry, I'm handling it," smiley face, which was basically code for "back off, peasant." I told Emily. She sounded disappointed but not surprised. "Just come to the one you planned," she said. "If it's just us and a few people, that's fine. I just want to be with people who get me." So that was the plan. Or it was, until I pulled up outside Aunt Linda's house to help with transportation, because I'm a fool who still thought maybe, just maybe, things could be salvaged. That's when she leaned in through the window in her gold-accented cardigan, gave me that pinched smile, and whispered, "Try not to embarrass us tonight." Like I was the help. Like everything I had done up to that point, the planning, the money, the effort, meant nothing. That was the last straw. As I drove away with the cake and the gifts and the key to the real venue, my phone buzzed with texts from my mom asking where I was. I didn't answer. I just drove to the lakeside spot, opened up the venue, and set everything up the way Emily and I had talked about. Soft lighting, photo wall, her favorite music playlist humming in the background, a table stacked with personalized little gift bags I'd stayed up all night making. The cake looked amazing, vanilla with strawberry layers, frosted in soft pastels with 18 years of awesome, written in loopy cursive. I poured myself a soda and sat on the edge of one of the chairs, waiting. 30 minutes passed, then an hour. Then I got the text from Emily. "Everyone's just standing around." What happened? My stomach dropped. I called her. No answer. Then I called my mom. She picked up on the second ring. "Where are you?" she hissed, like I'd abandoned a battlefield. "Everyone's here. Emily's crying, and your aunt is furious." I swallowed hard. "I'm at the venue. The one Emily asked for." "What venue?" she barked, clearly already rattled. "Everyone's at the Goldview Banquet Center." She didn't want the Goldview. She said she wanted something small. "I booked it weeks ago. She asked me to." There was a pause on the line. A long one. Then, "Well, you didn't tell anyone that. Your aunt had a whole thing planned." "No," I said, my voice getting quieter. She had a thing planned for herself. Not for Emily. I hung up. I stared at my phone for a few minutes, watching the unread messages pile up. A few from cousins asking if I was okay. One from Uncle James asking if I was pulling another stunt. Then, finally, a message from Emily. "Can I come to your place?" I texted her the address to the real venue. 15 minutes later, she walked through the door. Her makeup was smudged. Her dress looked stiff, like something from a fashion magazine shoot. Not her style at all. She kicked off the heels and slipped into a pair of Converse from her bag. Then she looked around at the room and just stood there, silent, soaking it in. The cake, the lights, the music, the Polaroids, her actual childhood, her actual preferences, reflected in every corner. "This is perfect," she said. I nodded. My throat felt tight. I'd never seen her cry before, but there were tears in her eyes now. Then she said, "My mom's gonna be mad." I laughed. "Yeah," I said. I figured. The night wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Because while Emily was with me, barefoot and eating cake in the dim glow of string lights, the rest of the family was back at the Goldview, and Aunt Linda was lighting matches in her mind. And I knew. It was only a matter of time before the fire reached us. And sure enough, the first spark came 10 minutes later. A car pulled up. Fast. Then another. I glanced out the window and saw Aunt Linda getting out, phone pressed to her ear, eyes scanning the venue like a hawk. Emily froze beside me. "She followed my location," she whispered. I stood up. This was going to get messy, but I didn't regret a thing. Not yet. Not until Aunt Linda walked through that door with the kind of storm in her face that could rip a person apart. And behind her, dragging their feet, came my mom, my uncle, and a few other relatives, all of them with that look. The one that said, "How dare you make a scene," even though I hadn't made a single one yet. And then Aunt Linda spoke, and the whole night changed. She didn't start with a scream. That would have been too easy, too obvious. Aunt Linda was more of a slow-boil kind of tyrant. The kind that smiled with her teeth but not her eyes. She walked in with her perfectly manicured hands folded in front of her clutch bag and said, in a voice like butter left out too long, "There you are." I didn't say anything, just stood between her and Emily. "This is where you've been?" she asked, turning to Emily. "Sneaking off in the middle of your own party to this?" Her eyes flicked around the room, taking in the handwritten banners, the tablecloth side ironed, the Polaroids of Emily riding a tricycle or dressed as a carrot for Halloween. The pictures made her pause, just for a second. Then she snapped back into her role. "You had guests waiting, Emily. Important people. Sponsors from your gym. That photographer from Voyage Weekly was there." "I didn't invite them," Emily said, softly. "You did. And what were they supposed to think when the birthday girl disappeared?" Emily looked down. I could feel her shrinking beside me. I stepped forward before she could apologize for her own birthday. "She didn't disappear," I said. "She just came to the party she actually wanted." That cracked the mask a bit. Aunt Linda's jaw clenched. "Excuse me. This," I gestured around the room, "was the plan all along." Emily told me what she wanted. She didn't want to be a product launch. She wanted a birthday. From behind her, Uncle James muttered, "Ryan, not the time, no," I said. "It's the exact time." That's when she dropped the smile. "You self-righteous little," Aunt Linda caught herself. Lowered her voice again. "Do you even realize what you've done? I had vendors, Ryan. Contracts. RSVPs. There was a sushi bar. A live string quartet. I had to refund deposits." "She didn't want a sushi bar," I shot back. "She wanted a chocolate cake with pink frosting and pictures of her with her cat. That's it. That's what she asked for." "But you weren't listening." I could see my mom in the back, wide-eyed, clutching her purse like it might fly away. A few cousins stood awkwardly near the door. One of them had started filming. Of course. Emily stepped forward. "I told you I didn't want a big thing, Mom." Aunt Linda turned on her. "You said that, but you didn't mean it. You're shy. You don't know what's best for you sometimes, and that's okay. That's why I make the decisions." "You make the decisions for yourself," Emily said. Her voice cracked, but she didn't step back. "You wanted that party. You wanted the photographer. You wanted everyone to see the perfect version of me." The silence that followed hit like a slap. Aunt Linda looked like she'd been gut-punched but was trying to hold it together. She took a shaky breath and turned to me again. "You've been jealous of this family since you were a teenager. You just couldn't stand to see us do something right." There it was. I wanted to say a million things. That I wasn't jealous, I was exhausted. That I'd been dismissed and mocked and treated like a cautionary tale at every Thanksgiving table since I was old enough to stop believing that college would magically fix everything. That I had spent my own money and time and heart making something real for Emily, not because I wanted attention but because she deserved it. But instead, I looked at Emily. She looked back at me. And then she turned to the room full of family, still half-shadowed in the doorway. "I'm staying here," she said. "You are not," Aunt Linda snapped. "We have a schedule." "No, you do," Emily said. Her voice had strength now. "I'm 18. Remember? Adult and everything? You told everyone. You posted it online with 3 exclamation points." My mom gasped. Someone stifled a laugh. Aunt Linda stepped toward her, but Emily moved to my side. And that was the moment. The click of a lock. The line in the sand. I felt it in my chest, that tingle you get when the underdog starts to push back. I tried to let you have your way, Emily continued. I wore the dress. I smiled. I played nice. But you still found a way to make my birthday about you. So yeah, I left. And honestly, it feels like the first time in years that I got to breathe. Aunt Linda froze. She was shaking, not with sadness, but with fury. The kind of fury that comes from not being able to control the narrative. You think this is freedom, she hissed. This is delusion. You're throwing away everything I built for you. Everything I sacrificed. For what? For him. She pointed at me like I was roadkill. Ryan listened, Emily said simply. That's more than I can say for anyone else. It was quiet again. Thick, sticky quiet. You could almost hear the string lights buzzing above us. Then Aunt Linda laughed. A short, sharp bark. You're going to regret this. Both of you. She turned and stormed out. A few relatives followed her. Others stayed frozen, unsure which team to be on. My mom lingered for a moment longer, then sighed and left with a shake of her head, muttering something about family drama under her breath. And then it was just us again. Me, Emily, and a room full of real, raw, imperfect memories. She sat down beside me and took a forkful of cake. She's going to come for you hard, you know that? I nodded. You ready for that? I looked at her, and for the first time in years, I actually felt like maybe I was. I am now. But I had no idea just how far Aunt Linda was willing to go to make sure I regretted every second of it. Emily didn't stay long after that. Maybe half an hour. Long enough for us to finish a couple slices of cake, play her favorite indie song on the speakers, and light the tiny sparkler candles I'd tucked away just in case. She filmed it, her blowing them out, laughing with frosting on her nose, and posted it on her story with a caption that simply said, "Real party." No filter. No stage poses. Just her, sitting cross-legged on the floor in mismatched socks and a hoodie she borrowed from my trunk. After she left, the venue felt too quiet. I cleaned up slowly, taking down the Polaroids one by one, sliding them back into the envelope. My phone was blowing up again, but I ignored it. I knew there'd be fallout, but I didn't expect it to start quite as fast or as public as it did. By the time I got home, my inbox was full. Emails, DMs, tag posts. A Facebook message from my cousin Jake. Dude, you're all over next door. Turns out, Aunt Linda wasn't going to let the evening fade quietly. She'd gone scorched earth, posted a long, furious rant on her public social media about how I had kidnapped her daughter on her birthday, sabotaged a professional event, and emotionally manipulated a young girl during a vulnerable time. She painted me as a bitter, unstable black sheep who isolated Emily from her family and weaponized nostalgia to turn her against her own mother. Her post had pictures from the banquet hall, empty chairs, untouched food, her standing next to the DJ looking distraught. It got hundreds of reactions and shares. A few local parents who knew her chimed in with sympathy. One person wrote, "What a tragedy. I'd be devastated if someone did that to my daughter." She'd even tagged my work profile, claiming I was unfit to manage community tech projects due to repeated emotional instability. That one stung. My freelance gigs were small, sure, but I worked hard to build trust with clients. That kind of reputation, once cracked, spreads fast. I read the post twice, then again, and again. Each time, my chest got tighter. It wasn't just that she was lying. It was how easy it came to her. How she could twist reality so thoroughly and make herself the victim. For a second, I considered letting it go. Just riding the wave. Eventually people would forget, right? But then I got a text from Emily. She went through my room. Took my phone, my laptop, everything. Grounded me. Said I'm not emotionally stable enough to make my own decisions. And a second later, she's trying to get me pulled from my gym program until I straighten out. That's when the guilt punched me in the gut. This wasn't just about me anymore. She was punishing Emily now for thinking for herself. The next morning, I woke up to more messages. My mom, of all people, had shared Aunt Linda's post with a passive-aggressive comment. I always said Ryan needed help. My uncle had liked it. A few of my cousins commented vague things like, "So sad when family turns on each other." No one had asked me what actually happened. Except for one person, Sarah, one of Emily's old babysitters who used to be around a lot when we were younger. She messaged me, saw the post. "Doesn't sound like you. What's the real story?" I sent her the photos. The real ones. The cake. The decorations. Emily laughing. I soft and happy. Then I sent her the screenshots of Emily asking to come to my place. Of her thanking me. Of her saying she didn't want to be there. Sarah responded with one line. "Let me help." I didn't know what she meant at first. But 2 hours later, she posted a very different story on her page, public, tagged, and with receipts. She wrote about how Aunt Linda had always micromanaged Emily's life, how she used guilt and control disguised as concern, how she had once pulled Emily from a school play because the costume wasn't dignified, how she made everything about appearances, not people. Sarah even hinted at how Aunt Linda had tried to get her fired from her old babysitting job when she let Emily have pizza for dinner instead of grilled salmon. She included screenshots, messages Emily had sent her months ago venting about her mom, ones Sarah had saved when she started to worry. It blew up. People started commenting, asking questions. Then others joined in, an old coach, a retired teacher, even a neighbor. One by one, people shared stories, little things. But when you piled them up, they painted a very different picture. Aunt Linda tried to fight back, of course, claimed it was all fake. But the tide was turning. I wish I could say that was the end of it. But that was only the beginning. 2 days later, I got an email. Not from a family member. From a lawyer. Not mine. Hers. Apparently, Aunt Linda wasn't just mad now. She wanted to sue me. I didn't panic when I saw the lawyer's name in my inbox. I felt my stomach drop, sure, but after everything Aunt Linda had already thrown at me, this felt inevitable. She wasn't just trying to embarrass me anymore, she wanted to ruin me. And if I had learned anything from this, it was that people like her don't stop until they're forced to. The cease and desist letter was full of pomp. Legal fluff threatening defamation charges for publicly disparaging the character of a respected community figure and orchestrating an event designed to undermine parental authority. Her lawyer demanded I issue a public apology, take down anything referencing the party, and pay $5,000 in reputational damages. That's when something in me snapped. I'd spent years brushing things off, being the easygoing one, avoiding fights, letting people rewrite my story because it was easier than being the bad guy. But I looked at that letter and realized, for the first time, how much I'd let her shape my life, even in silence. So I fought back. I didn't hire a lawyer. I became one. Not literally, but close enough. I spent the next 48 hours reading everything I could about defamation law, especially in our state. I reached out to a friend of a friend, a paralegal who walked me through the basics. Then I crafted a letter of my own. Not petty, not emotional, just truthful, meticulous. I broke down every claim in her cease and desist and responded with receipts, screenshots, timestamps, and testimonies from people who had witnessed the night. I explained how her post had falsely accused me of criminal behavior, including kidnapping, which was both slanderous and actionable. I ended the letter by stating clearly, if she did not retract her public accusations and delete the post within 72 hours, I would be pursuing legal action for defamation, harassment, and damages to my professional reputation. I CC'd her lawyer and sent it through a certified email tracker. The post was gone the next morning. But I wasn't done. Because while she was busy playing queen on her crumbling throne, she hadn't realized how many people had turned against her. The local gym board, where she'd pulled strings to freeze Emily's membership, was flooded with complaints. Screenshots from Emily's messages. Public backlash. Even a quiet statement from Emily herself, shared in a private Facebook group for teen athletes, explaining how her mother had tried to shut her down for wanting one night to be herself. The board reinstated her. Unanimously. They also cut ties with Aunt Linda as a sponsor. Then came the photographer, the one from Voyage Weekly. Turns out, he hadn't appreciated being lied to either. He'd been told Emily would be walking into a staged, coming-of-age shoot, not ambushed at a fake party where she'd already made it clear she didn't want to be. He released a post of his own, nothing dramatic, just a polite clarification. Respecting a young woman's boundaries should always come before press coverage. Her social media influence? Shattered. Sponsors dropped. Friends distanced. People remembered all the little moments, the micromanaging, the guilt-tripping, the side comments, and started to see a pattern. But the real victory? That came a few weeks later, when Emily moved out. She had saved up quietly. A part-time job here, a few babysitting gigs there. With a little help from Sarah and a scholarship advisor, she secured a spot in a shared apartment near her college campus. She sent me a photo the day she moved in, her standing in a tiny kitchen, grinning beside a box of mismatched mugs. The caption? Thanks for helping me get here. Aunt Linda tried to spin it. Said Emily had been brainwashed, that she was running away. But no one bought it anymore. The mask had cracked too wide. As for me, I didn't fade back into the background. I got new freelance gigs, bigger ones, thanks to people who admired how I stood up for myself. Some clients had seen the drama and actually respected how I handled it. Said it showed integrity. One even called me shockingly professional for a guy in jeans. Go figure. The best part? The next family gathering was at my cousin Jake's wedding. I walked in, head high. No whispers. No awkward glances. Aunt Linda didn't say a word. Just looked away, cheeks tight, as I hugged Emily and handed her a small framed copy of her sparkler birthday photo. We didn't need to say anything. She smiled, tucked it under her arm, and whispered, "You know she still thinks you ruined her party." I grinned. "I didn't ruin it," I said. "I saved the real one." And for once, I didn't feel like the family disappointment. I felt like the only one who finally did something right.